Out on the streets another Saturday night.
Alright, good morning my friends of the stringed instruments. Especially the guitar and bass players. I hope everyone hangs out. I hope we have some violin players in here, you know. Maybe even some fiddle players. I like to learn the fiddle. A little good morning. We're discussing a little guitar philosophy. Okay. A little guitar talk with the morning coffee. You know, grab your morning coffee. All right. I'm not feeling you might say loud and proud as far as you know, wanting to bang on the guitar and get all crazy first thing. I'm not against any rock and roll first thing in the morning. Matter of fact, I need to listen to some, get going. I'm just talking about feeling mellow right now, and you know, embracing the morning groove. I don't even think sun's up where I'm at. But anyway, I'll tell you what I'd like to talk about, man, is a lot of discussion on string size. Now, a lot of people think, well, I don't even know the debate on it. You know, these are Martin strings, came with a guitar. I think they're 12s. They're either 12 or 13s. I don't know, but I think they're 12s. And I have played with 13s in my acoustic. I got headphones on. No, I can't hear myself. I have played with 13s on my acoustic because the only place I could, or the closest place I could buy strings at the time was just down the street, and there was a pawn shop, and the only thing the dude carried was 13s. That was it. He didn't carry no other size. And he was attitude about, his name was Redneck. That gives you an idea. Redneck's pawn shop. That gives you an idea what's going on. The dude had one size set of strings, 13s, and by golly, if you weren't man enough to play him, that was his attitude. If you weren't man enough to play him, you know, I guess, you know, that was his attitude. You said, anyway, crazy. I got used to him. Shit. But, anyways, 12. So a lot of discussion about string size. And, you know, my thing is the dynamics of it. What I mostly hear, you know, big string, little sustain there, big string. Yeah, here's the interesting thing. Both the E strings, right? The top one, bottom one, whoop, bottom one if I hit it right. So this same string, obviously, two different tones, same scale, same length, two different tones, one deep, one, you know. Now, they're all tuned to the same 440s thing. I'll have to get, I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know the dynamics of, okay, the 440 is a hertz, cycles per second, AGC symbol. You know, we're tuned A is 440. I have no idea what E is. I have no idea what low E is and what the high E is. But there's a number associated with it, okay? Which is, you know, about the wobbles per second. It's per second. Frequency, vibrations per second. Analog, what wave per second. Within I think it's 1 centimeter. I guess they use centimeters in that, or it's an inch. I'd have to figure that one, you know, look that one back up. But it's a distance that's pre-measured within 1 second of time, how many ups and downs you get within 1 second. And that's basically what's going on with your low string and your E string, high E string, you know. See if I can mute the rest of these. Now your sustain, that's going to come on an acoustic guitar. It's going to come, but you know, this is a Martin. There's a guy, and you ain't going to hear that. You know, I mean, I'm on a camera, Android camera phone. You know, a lot of stuff in it, but you get the it's got good sustain, and so that's going to be one component of your guitar. It gives you sustain on your acoustics as your design, you know, your design and quality wood, etc. It's a whole another dynamic scientific thing. But another thing we all have in common, regardless of brand, is your strings. You know, now we can go into like nickel plating and all that other stuff later, because that has, bottom line is your strings have a dynamic to them of, and I think you would call it oscillation, where things, you know, at the waveform, like when you throw up rock in the middle of the pond, you get the waves, and that's what's going on here. And your waves within a certain amount, you know, a big splash, a big splash would make a bigger rock. The wave is going to be more intense, right? It's going to be bigger up front. If we threw in a little bit pebble, it's going to make a little splash, and the ripples would be shorter. And that's basically what's going on your bigger. Okay, so your dynamics here, the strings. The other thing you're going to affect is the size of the string. Like I said, when I start over I'm talking about 12s, and that is the number of this bottom string here. And I have to look at the package, man, know what the rest of them are. When you hear people talking about string sizes as 8s or 9s, the lower the number is 0.08, by the way. It's you know, the diameter of the string, and that get the heavier, and obviously the 8s and 9s are more slinky, especially the 8s. Back in the hair metal days of the 70s, or I mean the early 80s, and all starting off, everybody besides playing a BC Rich played with 8s because you could just stretch the hell out of them. You know what I mean? And especially with Floyd Rose, I mean, you're pulling up, and it just it doesn't take as much. You know, I'm not going to say strength. It had nothing to do with muscles. Much, you know, pull on the string didn't fight you as much, and because you could be a little bit quicker. You know, with and chances are less likely to break a string because it would pull up. You know, strings stretch a little bit better because they're skinny. So you get, you know, I personally was not. I had a Floyd Rose. It's a Washburn, but it was made by Washburn, but it looked so much like a Floyd Rose that Floyd Rose sued him, and copyright infringement. But I got one of the I'll have to dig up my Strat and show you that. It's 77. And it's got this Floyd Washburn on there, designed just like a Floyd Rose. But I had it set locking where it just dive only. I wanted stability. That's a different conversation. Anyway, talking about string dynamics. So you got your you're playing with 8s, especially on acoustic. You're going to get a real thin sound. You're just going to get a really thin sound, and especially if you're playing with a pick. I haven't played so long with something like skinny like that. Anyway. You're going to get more sustain, okay? You're going to get, let me put it this way, you're going to get different variations of sustain based on your string size. Now, some people base string size strictly on, it could be a lot of reasons. Some people, a lot of it is how it affects your fingers. The heavier string, they're harder on your fingers. The heavier strings are harder to bend, so they say. But it all depends what you consider a bend. You know, after a certain point, I'm moving. You know, something like that. You know, I mean, I ain't gonna try it. You can only bend up so much anyway. Now, yeah, sure. I haven't played basically 13 years other than the videos, reintroducing myself, so I do have maybe a few hours between all the videos I you know, on my belt. My fingers still get sore, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's just part of the process. I would think they would probably hurt with 8s, 9s, but I don't really care for nothing below a 10 on an acoustic, because I like a a stronger, steely sound, you know, a little bit. And, well, like I said, it come with 12s from Martin, so I figure that's what they feel is the perfect, you know, string size there. Before you pluck it, so I give you some dynamics, and basically by plucking it at different areas, and you can just, let me see. You can kind of give you a little idea of what I'm talking about. And that is, it all is resonance, how the string vibrates. A heavy string is going to carry lower frequency, it's going to sustain lower frequencies due to the mass of the string. It's just heavier, okay? So the question is, do heavier strings, in my opinion, heavier strings are going to give you a more dynamic sound with your, be richer with your lower harmonic tones. I don't care where you're at on the scale. When you're in comparison, the same note to say some strings with an 8, okay, same note with some 8s, and the same note, like say on electric, I play with 10s, and you're gonna get, first off, the 8s are not going to sustain as long because they don't have the mass to vibrate. The 10s are going to sustain just a little bit longer, and when you're playing music, man, you're talking microseconds here. You know what I mean? Like between a bass fill and or a bass line or drum roll or something, whether or not you're where you can fill in your and so you're going to just get different dynamics, and that's something that your ear has just got to you've got to choose for yourself. Your lighter grade strings, your 8s and stuff, yeah, you can stretch the hell out of them. But hell, if you're playing with a damn whammy bar, and you don't have to keep the fingers in one spot. Hell, you need to go with the high move fan, slide it up there and then pull your whammy bar. Get a lot. It all depends on your range, but you know what I'm saying? There's more than one way to stretch a string, or to change the pitch, stretch the pitch. You might, you get what I'm saying. So anyway, I guess I kind of wrapped up with morning buzz, morning groove, coffee, peace. Choose your string, and then, okay, wait a minute, I got a little bit left. Your string dynamics now. Say this guitar to come with 12s, I'm going to stay with 12. That's what Martin recommended, I mean, I'm going to trust that it's set up from the factory, the intonation, everything is steady with 12s. Now on electric, where you can change all that stuff real easy, it just all depends how your action is set up. I play mostly, Fenders, so I'm not going for the action. I'm not going for Gibson action, you know what I'm saying? I'm playing Fenders to begin with, so the size of the string ain't going to change the dynamic of, I'm not shredding style, I'm not putting it, I'm just saying it's not the voice I'm going after, or just the dynamic. So, anyway, I work like, it works, I work it out. I'm a Fender player, you know what I mean? Shit. And I'm playing it because it's the best playing instrument on earth. I just like them, Maybe it's just the love-hate thing. I've heard some people say you gotta fight. Yeah, you gotta fight for your sounds out of Fender. That's the whole point of playing a Fender, and that's why you gotta play them all. When you go pick one out, you just don't grab a Strat off the rack or a Tilly off the rack. You've got to pick it. Just like blondes and brunettes. You don't grab any one of them, do you? You gotta, see if they can cook at least. You know what I'm saying? You gotta dance with them, get to know them, and the fretboards are all. Especially your old Strat. I don't know. Maybe the new ones, they got them down perfect. They all come off the line just, like a cookie cutter. But you get your older Strats, man, they were just, I mean, sometimes the factory's about to close down and run out of money, or they get Fender, I heard Leo Fender was a cheapskate kind of, and get just different weird parts, and that's why you get a lot of different, in the model, different bridges and shit. So, the sounds would change, and oh, the biggest thing too is not changing the tools on your wood cutting tools on the machines for your fretboard. So your fretboards would, some fretboards, when everything was sharp, would come out with a certain feel to it, and then as the tool went in, they'd probably get a little bit wider, so because there's a lot of dynamics there. But anyway, I was talking about strings, but we'll get into other, it's morning coffee jam, man. Look, drink your coffee and jam. I know you probably want to get ready to change your strings, right? On the elect, in my opinion, unless you got it dialed in, like you're on 8s or even 9s, and you're just, I can barely get a dad blame sheet of paper between the fret and the string, you're set up like that. Yeah, if you go to 10s, or, to a big heavy string, you'll probably get fret buzz, you know what I mean? And mostly you can just solve that by just loosening the string, resetting the saddles to bring them up just a hair. But if you go into a lighter string, you shouldn't have to touch. Anyway, personally, unless you're getting fret buzz, I wouldn't change the intonation or anything like that. You can go and just check it doing your, open, and then your 12th, the 12th fret, as long as they chime out the same on your, meter there, as long as they're dialed in the same, then you're good to go. Alrighty, I guess that was a little bit about strings, more than I could have probably. Anyway, have a good morning. It was fun hanging out with y'all, and chill. Peace.
The streets were dark and empty, and the mission was burning down.